よう、久しぶり。
The 5 Masters of Blue Lock are tasked with training the Blue Lock members in multiple high-level matches that is meant to emulate the Europe 5 Great Leagues. Among these masters, Noa Noa has been making a surprising shockwave within the fandom amongst the new chapter, which reveals something that causes people to call him the worst master. Now, in my opinion, Noa Noa has always gotten an unfair amount of hate in terms of how good of a master he is, and in this video, I want to go over this particular reveal and go over Noa Noa as a training overall to see if he's truly a bad master, or at least the worst of the 5 masters, like people say. Now, to answer this question, we first have to understand what the masters are meant to do. For the discussion we'll be having today, what makes a master will be their leading abilities, their teaching abilities, and their overall fairness to their team. This means that they have to have good substitutions and be a good coach in general, and they also have to be good at teaching their players and do it pretty often, since that is basically their job. And they also can't just be overtly biased towards any specific player. To be an effective coach, you should try to train everyone in your team equally, at least when it comes to the Blue Lock player specific. Now, before jumping into all the negativity and the start of this debate of Noa Noa being a bad teacher, I first want to start off with Noa Noa's qualifications for the role of a teacher, or in simpler terms, the upsides of his teaching and what he actually does well. Starting off, whenever anyone's just generally talking to Noa Noa, his advice seems to be pretty good. Noa Noa's mind relies on ultra rationalism, and he doesn't do anything without having a particular reason. When Isagi came to Noa Noa with the problem of his current level, Noa Noa was able to easily decipher and break down Isagi's thought process. Even if it was just something as simple as telling Isagi that he should not know something to enact his plans, Noa Noa simply explaining his philosophy to Isagi gave Isagi the backbone to all of his evolutions up until now. It led Isagi to fully realize that he has to know truly everything and can't have what ifs in his plans. Basically, what I'm getting at is that with Noa Noa's unshakable philosophy, he's able to give insight objectively to people's abilities and how they should use them. But other than that, we don't really get to see much of Noa Noa giving actual talking points to people, since it's not his type of, training style. Most of Noa Noa's training seem to come from hands-off things like his coaching. In these instances, Noa Noa isn't explicitly telling people what they should do, but he's rather pushing them into a situation and forcing them to adapt in order to get better. He does this exact thing with Isagi and Kaiser, allowing both Isagi's side of Germany and Kaiser's side of Germany to play at the same time, although he knew it would inevitably lead to chaos. He knew that if someone were to control this chaos, it would only lead to the other wanting to devour him that much more. I'd say that Noa Noa's coaching is probably the strongest point of his training, as in nearly every game, due to his coaching, somebody was able to evolve. In the Manshine City match, Isagi and Yukimi were able to evolve because of Noah's help on the field. He was able to save Isagi's crumbling play and give him multiple routes to achieve the goal he envisioned just by simply assisting in his play, as well as of course sealing off Chris Prince. In the match against the Ubers after Snuffy subbed in, he tells Isagi he has to endure Snuffy's assault, which allows Isagi to realize what he has to do, which didn't lead to a goal for Isagi, but it did lead to Gazumaru having time to react to borrow a shot. Although later on in this game, he does get outwitted by Hiyori and Isagi, and seems to lose in the battle of logic, conceding to the idea of Hiyori being subbed in instead of Kyorai. And I will say it's a pretty big fumble that Noa Noa can't take credit for this, because it led to them not only winning the game, but evolving both Isagi and Hiyori to insane heights. Nevertheless, that is all to get the point across that Noa Noa definitely does have qualifications to be a striker master. Now we can move on to the crux of this video, which is whether or not Noa Noa is truly a bad teacher because of what he said in the recent chapter. After subbing in the PXG game, Noa Noa ends up receiving the ball and coordinating up the field. He does this with Kaiser when Isagi suddenly comes in and tries to steal Kaiser's spot in the play. Noa Noa, however, saw this coming and deliberately passed behind Isagi to Kaiser and used Isagi as bait. Isagi seemed to be under the impression that Noa Noa would help him, just like in the Manshine City game, but then Noa Noa says, "The reason I joined this league wasn't for the team. It was to awaken your ego, Kaiser. What I want is a rival who poses a threat to me. Someone like that would force me to evolve further and produce an entirely new me. I want to be even stronger." This is the first time we ever get to see an ounce of ego coming from Noa Noa. He seems to be very fired up talking about this notion, and it makes for an interesting plot point. While people did question why Noel Noa and the others came to the Neo Eagles League, everyone did end up having their own reasons, and most people settled on the idea that it was simply just for the money. But with Noa Noa being the world-class striker that he is, the money answer really didn't make much sense. He could probably make much more money going to a different league and getting paid for it. But with this new answer we've been given, it all makes sense. Noa Noa only joined to strengthen his own power and ego. Now, this really shocked multiple people because it didn't seem like the Noa Noa that we all know. He's usually very calm and it doesn't seem like this is something that he would do. But in hindsight, if you really think about it, to be the best striker, you have to have some type of ego. And it makes sense that Noel Noa has this amount of ego, going as far as to picking up a whole entire team and training them in order to just let Kaiser evolve. But is this truly bad? And I'd say no. This doesn't make Noel Noa a bad teacher. Although his reasoning may be considered bad, there is proof of his work. He's done very well for himself. Like I mentioned before, in every match except maybe the Barcha match, there's some evolution that you can pin down back to Noel Noa. Not to mention that for his plan to work, he literally has to be a good teacher, or at least not a bad one. He can't make Kaiser rival him without first having Kaiser awaken his ego, and he has to do that by making another rival for Kaiser, and make him good enough for Kaiser to want to awaken his own ego, which successfully happened with Isagi. But obviously there's many loops that Noa Noa had to go through. He had to get Isagi to the level that he is at now, and by doing this, he was also able to get multiple people like Hiyori and Yukimiya above the level that they came in with. There's no way his plan would succeed if he wasn't at least a somewhat good master. And if we compare him to other masters, he's definitely not a bad master to have. All of the master's ways of teaching are very different, and your results are going to depend on the player you are. There is no one-size-fits-all master in the new Egoist League. For example, even though Snuffy is a very good master, if someone like Bachira were to come on his team, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Bachira since he's not used to that type of playstyle where it's very coordinated. He relies on things like randomness and just the flow of the game in general, which is why someone like Levinho, who I think is a generally bad teacher, allows Bachira to evolve so much. Levinho literally said that he wouldn't be teaching the kids anything because he's already the world's best. This disqualifies him from any talks of being anywhere near the top of the Masters rankings in terms of teaching abilities. And if you compare Levinho and Noa Noa's teaching style, I guarantee that if you put 10 people in Noa Noa's group and 10 people in Levinho's group at random, the people from Noa Noa's group are going to be significantly better than the people from Levinho's group. Because like I mentioned, there is no one-size-fits-all teacher, but Noa Noa's covers a more wide range of players than Levinho's does. There's not many people that thrive on randomness and the flow of the game in general. So in my opinion, Levinho is by far the worst Neo Egoist League teacher. And I think he's the only teacher who you can call a bad one. After that, I think Noa Noa and Loki are pretty interchangeable. Loki has been shown to give tips to each of his players after a game to make them better, but other than that, there's not much to write home about. He and Noa Noa are pretty much the same. He even gives in to Noa Noa's plan of having two opposite ecosystems colliding with each other by having both Shido and Rin, the two opposites, on the field at the same time. This is already proven to be quite effective as it's thrown the field into somewhat chaos, but the one that's able to control it the most is Rin. The Germany team definitely seems like it's having the harder time trying to keep up. And now that Loki and Noa Noa have both subbed in, it's probably only going to get worse from here on out. Now after that, it's very clearly Chris Prince. The way he trains is very catered to the person he's training, so he has a very subjective way of training people. He first asks them what they want to be and inspects their physical bodies, and uses the technology in Blue Lock as well as his own knowledge personally from playing the game so long in order to attempt to make them the best they can be. For example, he's able to give the perfect plan to Chigiri in order to formulate his 44 Panther shot. After watching Chigiri play and inspecting his body, he's able to quickly create an amazing shot that's almost guaranteed to work for Chigiri. And it's a shot that can only happen with Chigiri's strengths and weaknesses. But obviously the best trainer in Blue Lock is Snuffy the Crown Prince. His name, the Crown Prince or Messenger, literally comes from the fact that he brings victory to whatever team he's on, and not just because of any specific ability or stat that Snuffy has, simply because he's able to uplift the entire team with his command ability and training. He's not some kind of super striker, but he keeps his team at the top with a playstyle closer to say Toshi's, a midfielder, creating amazing passes, stealing the ball from others, and scoring if need be. In terms of training, he not only trains them in a general sense, but also creates special plans for any situation that they happen to be in, allowing him to excel almost always. Snuffy's training doesn't stop at just this, however, as he also bears all the weight of the team's loss as to not mentally handicap his team. This is because Snuffy knows firsthand what it's like to hurt and lose someone due to the mental aspect of soccer, as he lost his best friend. This alone gives him a clear leg up on the other masters, as none of them seem to ever mention the mental part of training, which is very important. And I find it very hypocritical how people talk about how good of a trainer Snuffy is while ignoring that his idea or reason for coming to Blue Lock is very similar to why Noel Noa came to Blue Lock. Snuffy came to Blue Lock looking for a striker to succeed him after he retires. Now obviously this reason isn't as egotistical as Noa Noa's reason, but it's very similar. He came here looking for somebody specifically to train up for his own personal gain. But just like Noa Noa, he didn't let this stop him from training other people. He and Noa Noa both continued to excel other people, such as people like Yukimiya, Aiku, and even Nico. And basically what I'm getting at is that the reason that you came to Blue Lock doesn't really matter, and it doesn't make you a bad teacher. Just because Snuffy and Noa Noa came to train up one specific person doesn't mean that they're bad at training other people, as we see they both excel in training other people. And while I'm not saying that Noel Noa is the best trainer, he isn't someone that you can call a bad trainer. And when compared to the masters, he's actually just pretty average in terms of training. I completely understand if you don't like Noel Noa's character development as of this moment, but in my personal opinion, I think it only makes him better. But even if you don't like his character development or how his character has grown, you can't ignore the fact that he is objectively just not a bad teacher.